Brand new week, good morning, welcome to Newsdesk. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, the flag bearer of the new patriotic party unveils an ambitious 2024 manifesto pledging to address the high cost of living, create jobs and build more roads across the country.
My interactions with the people, the three top major concerns of Ghanaians are the cost of living, jobs and roads.
Well, central to these promises are 9 major tax reforms that could reshape the economic landscape if he is elected president.
My government will make business and jobs our #1 priority.
But what do these reforms mean to businesses? We'll break it down with industry experts and business leaders right here on Newsdesk. Also in this bulletin, what is shaping the choices of headquarters in the coming election?
Government to provide some works at our place so that we will not come here to come and be doing the kaya again.
All right. They should create jobs so that if you are not going to school, you can be employed there.
We have excerpts of just turned 18 as they share their views. My name is Faustina Safo. Please take a seat and be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, we'll start with the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, because he's looking to implement at least 9 major wide-ranging tax reforms if elected president. Key among them is the scrapping of the electronic levy and betting tax, while he also plans to digitize all aspects of the country's tax administration to reduce leakages. We'll analyze some of these propositions shortly. First, here's Samuel Mbura with a wrap of the NPP 2024 Manifesto Launch.
Flag bearer of the new patriotic party, Dr. Bawumia unveiled a list of innovative ideas to transform the country if elected. He prioritized supporting the business community with tax rebates and incentives and pledged to operate a lean government with less than 50 ministers to ensure fiscal discipline. The NPP Manifesto comprehensively addressed all thematic areas aiming to transform the economy. Dr. Bawumia emphasized his ultimate goal of creating employment.
To the Gen Zs, I am well plugged into the new world you belong. And I know the keys to press to unlock your potentials within. I am your plug to your dreams of a prosperous Ghana.
He also highlighted his track record as vice president as proof of his ability to deliver.
I believe that as vice president, the policies I have championed or initiated have impacted or will impact the lives of virtually every Ghanaian. I have, with the full blessings and support of my boss, promised and delivered on many groundbreaking policies.
His running mate, Dr. Maito Opoku-Prempeh, expressed his readiness to work with the grassroots to secure the victory.
For those who have skeletons in their cupboard, for those who have skeletons in their cupboards and think the election is far gone for them, Dr. Bawumia will win the 7th December general election and presidential election. We, Kukudites, will fight from room to room, house to house, village to village, community to community, that never again will we have doom so.
President Akufo-Addo, visibly impressed by the ideas presented by Dr. Bawumia and his running mate, had this to say.
I want all of you here to make sure that when the results are declared, hopefully on the 8th of December, we will hear the sweet news. The 6th president of the 4th Republic, Muhammadu Bawumia, has won a clear victory. This is a man who has respect for the people of Ghana. This is not a man who is going to tell the Ghanaian people that you have short memories. That is not the kind of man we have here. That is not the type of man we have here. This is not somebody who's going to say to the Ghanaian people, when his policies have failed, that I am not a magician. That is not the language of Mahamudu Bawumia. That is not the sort of person that he is.
Well, today we will be fleshing out the key proposition the NPP is making with regards to the country's tax regime, and we'll analyze its feasibility. Well, our research team teased out some of the key policies the NPP promises to implement if elected in the upcoming election. It's coming up on your screen shortly. Now, some of the key taxes they have pledged they would eliminate if elected is one, the betting tax, the e-levy, the electronic levy, and import duties on mobile phones. So if you will be buying any mobile phone in this administration, then you know that if you're importing the phones, it's going to be cheaper for you. Now, let's look at the possible revenue loss for 2025 to 2027 if they plan to implement this elimination of betting tax and e-levy. Well, in betting tax alone, government is going to lose 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. On the e-levy, government is likely to use 8.27 billion Ghana cedis. And that's why we bring in an economist to look at if we are cutting all this tax, how then do government finance projects they plan to implement if elected? Let's do some other slides now. Now, these are other tax reforms that the Bawumia-led government is proposing to implement if elected. One, they want to reduce withholding tax for small-scale gold exports by 1%. Now, they also want to digitize all aspects of tax administration. So rather than doing the normal filing of tax, you have to go there in person. They're telling you that right now you can do that on your mobile phones. They're going to set up a system to make that aspect digitized. Now, they're also pledging to implement a flat rate tax for all importers. And we'll be speaking to Guta shortly to get their thoughts on this. And they're also pledging to offer a one-time tax amnesty to all Ghanaians and corporate entities. Other things they say they would do if elected, harmonize port charges. Now, this is something we'll get clarity on as we engage some experts. How do they plan to harmonize our port charges? Bawumia yesterday made mention of making sure our port charges are similar to that of Togo and other countries that charge less. They're also pledging to broaden the tax base through digitalization. They're pledging flat rate tax on income. So these are some of the key tax that they are pledging to, introduce. And we want to find out how practical are some of these reforms and how will they affect the average business owner. Because today we're diving into the implications with insights from the Ghana Union of Traders Association and tax experts as we assess the feasibility of these bold promises. Now, thankfully, we're broadening the conversation. We have the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obeng, join us here on NewsX. Thank you so much, Doc, for your time. I also have Professor John Gachi. He is Professor of Finance and Dean of School of Business at the University of Cape Coast. Thank you so much for your time here on NewsX. I'll start with you, Dr. Joseph Obeng. How do you think the proposed one-time tax amnesty will impact compliance among traders who have struggled with back taxes?
Yeah, amnesty is very important. We've always said that our tax system is very cumbersome and is very high. What it means is that most of us will fall in filing these taxes, and then we then become indebted to the Ghana Revenue Authority. When this happens, then it also curtails the growth of the business person, and because business thrives on comfort environment. That in a situation where you are being penalized with tax default and all that by the day, does not augur well, and then it does not also ensure that businesses turn a new leaf to do the right thing. Because when you do the right thing, you are going to benchmark it with the old thing that you did in the past. And so, in that regard, if we get the amnesty and we start on a cleaner sheet, then of course it's going to help even government in its quest to enhance on revenue collection. So it is very good, this amnesty, when it is implemented.
Let me bring in Professor John Gachi at this point. I would like to find out from you, how realistic is this NPP's proposal for one-time tax amnesty in addressing some of the concerns about tax evasion and encouraging compliance among businesses?
Well, I think we already have a tax amnesty law. So for me, it's not new. We have granted tax amnesty to Ghanaians before. So it's not anything new. It's already on our books. But the point we have to look at is, what do we want to achieve by tax amnesty? Is it going to increase revenue? The answer is no. Let's say in total, those who are defaulted in paying taxes amounted to 2 billion. And it means that that 2 billion didn't come to the kitty. So if you forgive them, it only clean the books of the taxpayer and it clean the book of the Ghana Revenue Authority. The Ghana Revenue Authority will no more be expecting that 2 billion from taxpayers. That is the only thing that it does. It doesn't change the behavior of the taxpayer. In fact, the literature revealed that those who are forgiven, majority of those people who engage in the activity that they engage in that resulted into the default, they will still do that. So we need to ask ourselves, what benefit does it bring to the tax environment? Of course, if you forgive people, they will be happy you are forgiving, but the records show that they will go back to do the same. The tax behavior will not change by the tax amnesty.
What are your thoughts on the plan to merge all VAT levies into a single line item levy? Will this ease the burden of traders? Is it even feasible?
Well, you need to add that will it increase revenue? Will it make revenue sustainable? Will it make payment of tax easier? So those are the things that we will look at and see if that will bring benefit to the taxpayer. But I believe at this level, we are looking at how cumbersome the tax system is. So if you put all together and you charge, it makes it easier for the taxpayer to compute and then pay the tax. But we also need to look at how that will be implemented, because we have some which are levies are between taxes and, So we need to look at how all those things be put together for the purposes of making tax very simply for the taxpayer.
Let me bring in Professor Joseph Obing at this point, just to get his thoughts about this proposed tax reform. How will the traders be welcoming this if implemented?
Yeah. Before I go to that, let me correct the tax amnesty. It is very important, and it's going to enhance on revenue. In that, most times people want to do the right thing, but the way GRA performs, if you do the right thing today, and you maybe you file on the correct things today, they will use it to benchmark the old that you've done. So it doesn't allow people to even do the right thing, and then they fall in the old things that they do. So I think Prof, having gotten it well, when we say that it's going to enhance on revenue collection, definitely it's going to motivate people to do the right thing, and it will go a long way to enhance on revenue collection. And then it's also going to affect our capital positively, Because if we are going to use this money to pay this default, it means that it's going to be taken out of your capital, your working capital. So in disguise, they are revitalizing our capital to work and expand so that we can also create jobs. And so the amnesty is in good stead, and that need to be supported. He is right to say that it is already there. But then when we do an absolute tax forgiving, debt forgiving, then it's absolute. What is already there, one have to apply and all that. And sometimes it is not what it seems to be. So when we say that we are going to forgive our debt and all that, for businesses, it's going to help us a lot. And then for the VAT, it needs to be structured because there's no uniformity at all, and it does not ensure compliance. And you see, taxes, when they are simplified and are affordable, that's where compliance is assured. And then government can get its revenue that is required. So when what they seek to do now by making it flat rated and then simplified and also affordable, definitely is going to ensure compliance that will let us generate more revenue.
The NPP has also promised to implement a flat rate for all importers. Tell us how crucial this is for you when it comes to stabilizing prices on the market.
Yeah, it is good in the sense that you can actually predict how much duty to pay. And it is also going to take away all discretions from customs and all that. So when we are able to do that, we have to sit down and work out the details and all that. When we get the details, but definitely what is seek to achieve is to for us to be able to even predict what we'll pay for probably electrical goods, maybe 20-footer container. When you are bringing it, you'll be informed of what to pay because of how it has been made flat rated and all that. So it's going to help because all that we have been saying is that we have to simplify the tax system and make it more affordable, and that's what this flat rate system seeks to do, and especially when they are also trying to align the port charges with those of the neighboring countries. They have the best practices. Their charges are very minimal. And so if you're able to adopt those best practices to reduce the charges that we are being made to pay here, that definitely is going to minimize the duties that we pay to affect prices in the market positively. And businesses thrive on turnover. Where prices are cheap, it means that our turnover is going to go up, where it will also affect productivity of businesses.
Let me bring in Professor John Gachi at this point to just share his thoughts about some of these issues we've raised. I'll come to you, Professor Joseph Obing, shortly. But then let me find out from you, Professor John Gachi, could the reduction of withholding tax for small-scale gold exports to 1%, would it effectively curb smuggling, or there are other factors that needs to be addressed?
Well, before I come to that, I think for Dr. Joseph to say that I didn't appreciate what the tax amnesty would do to businesses is unfair. I've indicated how it will clean the books of the taxpayer in terms of its indebtedness to the GRA, and how it will clean the debt list for GRA. But I need to state and emphatically and again that tax amnesty does not change the taxpayer behavior. All those people who benefit from the tax amnesty it is likely that greater percentage of those people will involve in what occasion the indebtedness or the default to the tax authorities. So we will live to experience that at a future time. So that is the point I'm making. I'm not saying that it will not benefit the taxpayer today, but why are we collecting tax? We are collecting tax because we want more of the taxes to be able to do a lot for the country. So we need to say all the facets of that particular policies. And it is that reason why the tax law as it is today, the tax amnesty law as it is today, you need to apply and then to be approved before you benefit from it. So this one-off thing is just to make sure that the taxpayers are happy, they are not going to pay, but they will fall into that trap again. So I need to make that point emphatically.
Well, now to the substantive question that I asked earlier about the flat tax rate. Let's look at your thoughts about that and how you feel it could address some of the issues. I also asked you about small-scale gold exports. They said that withholding tax for small-scale gold exports would be reduced to 1% to curb smuggling. I would like to get your thoughts on that.
Well, the question is, how much gold is small-scale miners exporting in the face of the gold purchase by the Bank of Ghana, in the upscaling of the gold purchase by the Bank of Ghana? I believe it will do something to them. Of course, if the withholding tax is small, that is good for the exporters. But what is the effect? The policy, those who are introducing the policy are not able to tell us what is going to achieve for the country in the long term. So I believe it will help them today, but does it answer the national discourse around revenue mobilization? There are many factors that go into curbing smuggling. And those factors, when they are not activated with some incentive across the borders, they will still engage in smuggling. So we need to look at all that in a holistic manner.
Now, I'll come to betting tax and e-levy. These are two taxes that the NPP is promising to scrap should they be elected. And the concern now is about how much government would be losing in terms of revenue to some of these taxes. How do you propose they fill in the gap if they're scrapping betting tax and e-levy?
Well, I don't need to propose that. Those who are saying they are going to cancel betting tax, they are to tell us that betting tax is giving us about 5 billion, or projected to give us about 5 billion, and we are taking it off. This is how we are going to ensure that that revenue is not lost to the state. Those who are proposing that e-levy will solve every problem, and they brought it, is now being enhanced. They are saying that they will take it off. They are the ones who should tell us how they are going to create another conduit for revenue to fill that gap.
What will be the implications? What will be the implications of scrapping betting tax and e-levy, looking at how much government stands to lose in terms of revenue?
Well, you need to look at the betting tax from two perspectives. One perspective is, see, if you are providing some tax, encouraging that, and you also look at how it is destroying the youth, it is creating a lot of psychological problem. For some youth are not able to pay school fees and the rest. So you need to match that against the revenue that you are getting. So those are the discussions that I think should be added to just saying we are removing it or not. If not so, we will only focus on the revenue that is lost, and then we will be asking, how are we going to fill that revenue gap? So I believe that is how we need to look at it.
Let me bring in John Gachi and Joseph Obing shortly. Before I come back to you, John Gachi, let me look at the proposal of the NPP, the proposal to digitize the tax administration, for example, and also flat rate for importers. Will this truly reduce leakages? You are in the business, you've been around for a long time. They say they're going to do this to reduce leakages and improve efficiency. Do you think that would help improve efficiency?
Okay, so let me give you this example. Before we were paying the standard rate of the VAT, and we were not getting our worth. And so in 2017, we moved to the 3% flat rate. And government exceeded all its revenue targets. Even with the reduction of the benchmark values, you see that government have reduced the valuation system. Even with that, any person will say that because government is reducing the valuation system, we are not going to achieve our target. But we exceeded for almost 3 years that the benchmark reduction was being implemented. Let me tell you, you know, tax to GDP in the sub-region, ours is the least. Ours is the least because we pay the highest amount of taxes in the sub-region. And so it does not ensure a compliance, and people take corners, and they do underhand dealings to avoid tax payment. So when taxes are affordable and reasonable, and kind of even negligible, like the 1% of the gold, it would definitely ensure that people would then, it's not that people do not want to pay the taxes. People want to pay, but when they are extorsively higher, then they find a way to avoid it. So the fact that 1% have been slapped on gold is rather going to induce people, encourage people to even pay, because then it is not going to take a chunk of their capital. It's as simple as that. You see, tax to GDP in the sub-region is the least because the taxes that are being paid in the other neighboring countries are far cheaper, simplified, and affordable for those countries, and compliance is extremely high, and so they are able to achieve. So when taxes are simplified, definitely it's going to serve our interest more than anything. It's going to ensure that businesses grow. That's why we say that we have to move away from taxation to production. We can't tax ourselves out of production. And businesses need these incentives so that we can be competitive. For the businesses that we are doing, we are not doing it in isolation. We are doing it with the rest of the neighboring countries, and when their taxes are high. So it's not that when we remove amnesty, people are not going to. No, people are going to do the right thing. Their taxes is going to be moderate, and they are going to sell more, and then we can be taxed in so many areas as well. But if your business is not growing because you are overburdened with these taxes that you cannot even pay the tax itself for you to even generate growth, then what are you doing? Then you can't. Your business shouldn't be stifled because you are being overweight or overburdened by taxes. It shouldn't happen.
So it's in the interest of the business community.
Yeah, this is why we need this respite so that we grow. Ghanaians are not bad as we are being portrayed. But if we have the opportunity, we all want to pay the taxes to be good citizens, and then that's what is required. But we shouldn't be overtaxed. If you're overtaxed, then we find ways to be bad.
Okay, another significant promise the NPP is making is a promise to harmonize port charges with regional competitors. Yesterday, Bawumia made mention of the likes of Togo. What impact do you foresee this would have on trade?
Okay, so why is it that when we go to Togo, we are not going to buy manufactured goods? We are going to buy also imported goods in that country. So why is it that we are even bigger, we have bigger importers here in Ghana than Togo? But people are not able to buy from the local importers. Rather, they go to Togo because cost of doing business in Togo is relatively cheaper. And so they will go there, buy these goods, and then they are able to even sell cheaper than those that are imported here. What does that mean? It means that we have to prune down the taxes and levies at the port. The fact that we will prune it down doesn't mean that it's going to unnecessarily reduce tax revenue. I've given you an example that when we even have the benchmark that Cousins were using, we exceeded the taxes. It's all about compliance. And so when we are able to benchmark with Togo, we use the best practices that is being adopted in Togo. Ghana will be well served because we are into competition. It shouldn't be that our prices, our locally made goods are higher, our imported goods are higher, and that they do not bring their foreign exchange to come and buy goods from us, but rather we change forests to go to these smaller countries, even smaller than us. It's uncalled for. So we have to do this and make sure that we are even more competitive than our neighbors in the sub-region.
As I wrap up with you, Doc, the concern now is, should the NPP win the election and should government implement some of these tax reforms, will the trade community commit to reducing the price of goods and services on the markets?
Yeah, businesses thrive on turnover. It doesn't serve on our interest to increase our prices. And then the market that we have is a consumer's market. We are not in the seller's market. So we are in competition and nobody overpriced his or herself out of competition. So when prices come down, it trickles down to the final consumer, definitely. Because if you overprice yourself, you overprice yourself out of the competition because the consumer have the right to comb and search the market. Unlike other jurisdictions where maybe prices are fixed on the goods like the supermarkets and all that, when you come to a market, people bargain for prices. And so when the price is down, somebody will take advantage to reduce its price, and those who will sell higher. So it is true, whenever we have these gains, it trickles down to the final consumer. And it is our duty, because we do this business with our customers. Anybody who serves its customer well, with good prices and all that, is the person who succeeds in business, not the other way around.
Let me wrap up with Professor John Gachi. The proposal to harmonize port charges, is it feasible or simply another campaign promise?
Well, I think the idea is to make the business environment friendly. The idea is to make trade and business competitive. Right now, there is difficulty in terms of competitiveness. There is difficulty in terms of keeping volumes at the port. So I believe that is the essence of that particular policy. So when it is undertaken, that will be near to the benefit of the business environment. But that does not mean prices will go down as a response to this policy, because the level of prices is not determined only by taxes or by the harmonization of levies and charges in the port. The exchange rate situation will also determine whether prices will go down. Inflation levels will determine whether prices will go down. How much the businessman borrows from the bank, the rate at which he borrowed from the bank before undertake his business, and benefit from harmonization will determine whether prices will go down. So it's not a linear equation.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here on News 6. We've been speaking to Professor John Gachi. He's an economist, and also Joseph Obeng, Dr. Joseph Obeng. He leads the Ghana Union Traders Association. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Now, let's stay with the NDC now. Moving to the NDC, Member of Parliament for Wa East, Dr. Godfred Siedu Jasso, has criticized the New Patriotic Party government for worsening the economic hardship facing Ghanaians. Speaking at the NDC's campaign launch, he urged voters to reject Dr. Bawumia and Dr. Matthew Prokopempe in the December polls. There's more in this report by Rafiq Salam.
The successful launch of the regional campaign of the party a week ago in Wa, the National Democratic Congress (NDC) headed to the West constituency, which they say serves as the launch pad to fulfilling the 2024 Agenda 1111 parliamentary seat project of the party. The party currently holds 8 out of the 11 parliamentary seats in the region. Sea of faithful supporters drawn from all branches of the party in the constituency defied an earlier downpour to converge to embark on the 4 kilometers walk to the venue of the campaign launch at Bullinge. Exclusively dressed in the party's paraphernalia, they walked, sang, and danced to music coming from brass band and loud sound systems kept on tracks. Member of Parliament for the West constituency, Dr. Godfrey Sedu, who is seeking re-election, drew first blood, exposing the misgovernance, inhumane, neglect, and failure by the NPP administration, which will have improved the economic conditions of the people.
There is a lot of difficulties that everybody is going through. As for the road infrastructure, you better not talk about it. You have all plowed on the roads and you know what they mean. And so my point is that there is every reason that everybody standing here wants to change this government.
The deputy ranking member of Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture laid bare his plans and that of John Mahama for the constituency.
There is an aggressive government has promised to give us. On our education sector, we will be able to afford a university or tertiary education for everybody. So first year students, we're proposing that you will not be paying any fee to get admission to nurses training college, teacher training college, university, polytechnic or technical universities.
Well, some head porters who are first-time voters cite the lack of jobs and poor living conditions as reasons for leaving home. As the elections approach, these girls are demanding better opportunities back home to avoid harsh conditions they endure here in Accra. Lois Shola Adeyemi interacts with them in our latest episode of Just 1018.
You want government to help you with?
The government to provide some works at our place so that we will not come here to come and be doing the kaya again.
All right. Now, you said you once they have introduced 2 hostels as part of the Kayayo Empowerment Plan. They have introduced 2 hostels for Kayayes, and they're also training over 5,000 people. They've started with 500. Isn't that good news for you? And does that work, or do you still want more?
We still want more, so that they will create some jobs over our end, over there. So if you are not continue your education, you should be doing any job. They should create jobs so that if you are not going to school, you can be employed there doing small so that you get some money.
All right. So Rabiatu, she's saying that there are jobs in here, even though you've heard that it's good news. You want some in the north for yourself so that you don't have to come here. Is that what I'm hearing?
I like to go back to school, because when I'm going to school, now that I went to SS, I feel like if I, like you people, I feel you, if I become one of you like this, I feel it a lot. So me too, I want to go to school. I want to go to school.
All right. Now, Rama, would you choose school, or just as I asked, the government has implemented or has introduced hostels for Kayayes? Is that enough? What else do you want?
No, it's not enough. And then I want to go back to school, and then they should look for work for us. Like Bawumia is doing this. Some of us, we didn't hear it. If you are not saying like that, we didn't hear like Bawumia do something. We didn't hear something like that.
Right. So they said that even though Bawumia has introduced the hostels, you want more, and you want some in the north. Do you also want that too?
Oh, I also want to go to the school. Even when I hear your voice cry, I feel if no school, the English I can speak. So I also want to go to the school. If no school, I can speak English. So as I like this cry, I can speak well. But if I go through further education more, I can speak more. I speak with public people. So I want to go to the school.
How about jobs? Don't you want more jobs, especially in the north? Because all of you have said that there are no jobs in the north. So what about jobs?
We want jobs, we really want it, but some of us too, we want to further our education, and we want to be Maybe nurse, and we will look, we will take care of our parents.
What do you want to be?
Nurse. I want to take care of my parents at home. If they are sick, if they went to hospital, I will not collect them money because of financial problem. I will just take care of them without taking anything.
Or you can catch the full episode at 1:30 p.m. today later on the Joy News channel. We're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with business. To stay tuned in.
It's time for Business on Newsdesk. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Economist Professor John Gachi has expressed skepticism about the central bank's new policy, which allows individuals to access foreign currency using their national ID as a means of controlling the currency market. Speaking on the sidelines of the African Center for Governance and Economic Management roundtable discussion on fiscal and monetary policy in Accra, Professor Gachi argued that people will still turn to the black market to protect the value of their investment.
The market is being controlled by government, and it's possible for government to undertake certain measures to change the rate overnight, but that cannot continue because when the rate goes down significantly, you create opportunity for people to look for where they will keep their money. And the surest way is to keep their money in foreign currency. So I'm not sure that rate downward trend will continue. In the interest of goes down significantly, then a lot of people will be finding a safe haven for their money, and that will be foreign currency. Even though some measures have been taken to deter people from purchasing foreign currency, using IDs to keep record of them, that would deter people. But there is a vibrant shadow market, black market for currency. So that will not resolve the issue.
Now, moving on, stakeholders in the fashion and catering industry are prevailing on government to provide more infrastructure support to tertiary training institutions. Their call follows the mass exit of students from second cycle institutions into the tertiary level to pursue careers in technical and vocational education and training, particularly in fashion design and food technology. Head of the fashion department at the Apia Manka University, Dr. Isaac Abraham, notes the infrastructure deficit impact teachings and learning. There is more in the following report.
Dr. Isaac Abraham was speaking at the exhibition of the Faculty of Vocational Education of the Apia Manka University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development. The exhibition saw final year students of the school showcase their various projects ranging from textiles, dressmaking and local cuisines. Under the theme, Fashioning a Sustainable Future, students portrayed their creativity, employing local designs and fabrics. While the number of students continues to grow every year, head of fashion department, Dr. Isaac Abraham, is prevailing on the government to bridge the infrastructure deficit.
Government is doing well by projecting the TVET sector, and the fashion industry or the fashion education is part of the TVET sector. But I believe that the government can still do more with the provision of infrastructure to expand the various departments in the various tertiary institutions who are offering this particular program, so that we can enroll more students. The free SHS has in fact overwhelmed us with students population, and so we believe that the expansion of infrastructure, we can admit more students to do the fashion, and as I said, people are really getting interest in the fashion program.
As a core requirement before completion, students from the Hospitality and Tourism Department also displayed local cuisines made from underutilized local crops like sorghum. Dr. Doreen Dedo Adi is the head of the department.
So we're looking at using sorghum to produce diverse food products, and the focus was to improve food security, and also to help in the agenda of reducing hunger. So you had students using sorghum to produce products like sorghum wache, sorghum jollof, spaghetti. You also use the leaves to produce drinks and other cookery.
Dean of the Faculty of the Vocational Education at the university, Professor Ellen Olufagbemi, is optimistic of the potentials of equipping students with both theoretical and practical skills for the job market.
So right from the first year through to the final year, students learn practical aspects. So in the final year, they have to demonstrate it into the public, showing what they have learned. And again, because of our entrepreneurial mandate, we also try to make them more marketable. So this is the whole concept, to make them know how to sell out their products. Because people out there are doing it, but we are adding theory and practice. So we need to help them understand the concept of the practice they are learning.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Brandt-Kweku.
That'll be all for business here on Newsdesk. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back with more news after this break. Stay tuned.
Thanks for staying with us. Now let's do some other stories. Time after time, some residents who live in flood-prone areas keep hope alive that one day their plight of having to run from home when the rain sets in would be addressed. But it seems that hope is gradually waning. In our Floods of Trauma series, a year-on report, my colleague Hannah Odami finds out that the hope has now become quite faint as they wait on government to fix their concerns year after year. She filed this report.
After years of keeping hope alive without receiving any major help, some residents living at flood-prone area Odona say they have accepted their fate and have devised backup plans to keep they and their properties safe when the rains came down.
Me better now say no. Me ma made me ba say na me 7 years. Now is
52-year-old Sarah Kote Oyo has lived in this house for 45 years. She tells me until the overpass was constructed at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and the drains in their backyard covered, they lived without fear of the rain. In fact, they enjoyed it when they see the clouds, but not anymore.
Previously, the drain behind our house was just okay to contain all the rainwater, but now it cannot hold that much water because there are many more people residing in the area and the drain has been covered. Due to that, any little rain causes flooding. People have also built on the waterways and this has really messed us up. Just look at this. When the rains come down, this is how our house looks like. Imagine the garbage the water sweeps onto the compound, coupled with our inability to stay in our rooms because of the situation.
Sarah is concerned about the daily construction of shelters in the vicinity, mostly on waterways.
The former assemblyman in this area used to discipline those who choked the passage of the drains. But now, I think things are out of hand. No one is enforcing strict building regulations anymore.
Her room is no longer a luxurious place where she can comfortably relax after a hard day's work. In fact, it is like a nightmare when she enters.
Come and see how my room looks like. I can't even get to use the items I bought for the home. I have packed all of them onto the shelves to keep them safe. The only items you will see on the floor is the mattress I sleep on with my daughter. Even with that, I shelve it every morning before we step out, just in case it rains whilst we are away. I have sent everything I consider important to my relative's house in another town.
5 hours in a say,
Due to the quantity of water which collects in her room, Madam Sarah and the other residents in this family house all have this connecting pipe hole built from their rooms through which they sweep out the water.
I am used to this situation now, so I have developed these mechanisms to ensure my children and I are safe.
The life and movements of this trader is now determined by the hours the rains fall and how long it takes for the waters to subside. So I asked Madam Sarah if she has ever considered relocating.
I cannot relocate because this is the property my grandmother left for me, and it is not cost effective to live here and go rent. A solution, I think, will be if we all contribute to raise the foundation of the house. Another will be the demolition of all the structures built on the waterways that leads into the Odona so that the waters can freely flow. I believe when we do our part and government also does its part, we will all be secured against the devastating effects of the flood.
Sarah's coping mechanism is working, but she does not want her children to go through the same situation. She wants them to enjoy the legacy handed them by their grandmother and hopes for a permanent solution, not in the near future, but now.
I no longer fear the effects of the flood. It is not because I have accepted this as my fate, but as long as I don't see a lasting solution coming in now, I have to psych myself or I will be taken unaware. I wish this was not the case, and I pray the situation changes soon so that my children and I can live a better, organized, and less fearful life.
Mimi said the minimum thing because me first time.
From Odona, near the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Hannah Odame found that report. Well, that's it for NewsX. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safa. My colleague Sutia Bochi will be back at 12 p.m. for the midday news.